Harmony Hills Home and Garden. Today I want to talk to you about potting up some African violets, houseplants inside in the winter. Now, I am no expert, but I have recently been learning about African violets. I've been doing some reading. I've watched a couple of different videos on YouTube from different garden bloggers that I trust. And so I think that I have learned what to do correctly. So let's give it a shot today. So African violets, I just went to the garden center and I found 3 new ones that I'm really excited to have in my houseplant collection. Now, they don't all have variety names, so I'm not exactly sure what they are. This one is a beautiful pink one. It's got fuchsia petals with a really deep burgundy center, and also a pretty little yellow spot in the center like so many African violets have. The stems on them are a nice red veining color. The back of the leaves are red as well, and the leaves themselves have, you can kind of see the reddish purple tint in the leaves. So this has got a lot of really nice coloration. This particular plant is a 4-inch pot. It does not have a variety name, so I'm not really sure. And also this particular plant has a lot of nice new growth right in the center and then some older growth out on the sides. So this is a really healthy one, I think. And there are a couple of leaves that are showing a little sign of stress. Like here's one that's got a hole in it. It's a little lighter green than I like. This one's a little lighter than I like as well. A couple of them could, like here's one that's been mangled up a little bit, probably through shipping into the nursery or something like that. So I could, if I wanted to, I could take off all of these outer leaves, then just pot it up with the new growth on the inside. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that today or if I'll leave it intact a little bit. I'm not sure. Here's one that's so pretty. It's a double. Can you see the double purple flower on it? Oh my gosh, it's so nice. I'm looking, there is one more bud coming in on this side and one down in there. I see 3, maybe 4 new buds coming along. So in a couple of days or maybe a week or so, hopefully there will be a few more blossoms on this particular plant. This is called EK Gray Ocean. And again, it's a double lavender colored flower. It's got a pretty true green leaf. Now this particular specimen is really in good shape. You can see it does have a lot of new growth in the center. It's got a few buds coming along, but also the outer leaves of them look really healthy, and I don't see any need to take any of these leaves off. So that's that one. And then the third and final one that I have here is a miniature. It does not have any flowers on it right now, so I had to look it up by its variety name on my phone on Google when I was at the nursery. This is called Harmony's Glacier. And when I looked up Harmony's Glacier, I found out that it's a miniature, so its leaves are really, really tiny. This isn't a baby-sized plant. I mean, the plant itself might get a little bit bigger, but it's never going to be as big as some of these other ones. The flower color on this one, Harmony's Glacier, you might expect that it would be a white. That's what I was expecting. And when I did the image search, I found some images that were white, and I found some others that were more of a purple with white veining. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to get off of this one, but I do know that I like the small size of it, the miniatureness of it. And it's got a really nice clear green color to it compared to, say, this one that's more of a purpley green. So I think it's going to add a nice variety in my pot. Now I'm going to pot all 3 of these into this planter. It's square. It's got this really pretty raised design on the side. It's some sort of ceramic material, and it has some felted feet on the bottom so it won't mar my furniture. This does not have any drainage holes. African violets do not like to have wet feet. So what that means is I'm going to have to take care not to overwater these African violets. If they get their roots too wet and soggy all the time, they might rot, and excuse me, and they won't care for that. So when you don't have drainage in your pot, you need to take extra care not to overwater. Generally, you want to stick your finger down in the dirt a good inch, maybe even deeper, and make sure it's all dry. At least an inch deep, maybe a little bit deeper than that, before you water again. The other thing about African violets, they really do prefer to be watered from underneath. So a lot of times, like at the garden center, they had these sitting in saucers that had pebbles and then water, and they sat in the water as the main way that they stayed moist. So I'm not going to have that opportunity to water from the bottom in this pot because it doesn't have any holes in the bottom. So again, I'm going to just have to take care to not get water on the leaves when I'm watering this plant from above. If you do get water on the leaves, it'll cause a little bruising or blotching or browning out spots on the leaves when that happens. So if you get water on the leaves, make sure you sop it up with a towel or a paper towel or a napkin or something like that right away so that it doesn't mar the leaf surface. Okay, so I have with me today the Espoma Organic African Violet potting soil. I'm going to be using this. This is better to use than any other kind of potting soil because it is specially formulated to be light and aerated for African violets. Again, they like their roots to not be soggy, and they like a lot of room and a little bit of oxygen flow around their roots. So if you used a really heavy potting mix or even a medium weight potting mix, it would be too heavy for African violet roots. So African violet potting soil, this cost, I think, let's see, this cost $5.49 at the garden center for this, so it doesn't break the bank. So go ahead and get that specialty for your African violets. And then finally, I have some sheet moss, which I'm going to use to cover the soil after it's been planted so that I can have some, you know, kind of decorative look to the planter after it's done. Okay, so I'm going to put this into my gardening tray here that saves my work surface from being too dirty. Open up this soil. Easier said than done, isn't it? Make sure I don't lose the zip close on it. Now, this soil is already very moist inside here, but I am going to be moistening the soil even more before I use it. Didn't count on this. My soil mixing bucket has old soil in it. I don't want that soil. That's potting soil. Okay, so I have my soil mixing bucket and I'm going to put some of the soil in here. It is kind of moist already. Just trying to gauge how much I'm going to need. But I wouldn't say that it's moist enough for potting, so because it doesn't really hold its shape when you squeeze it together. What you want is it to form a ball as you squeeze it. So I'm going to get some water and water this in before I do the planting. I mean, you could use a trowel or a spoon or something like that, but at this time of year, I really want to get my hands dirty, so I don't mind stirring this soil up with my hands. You might be thinking, Jenny, why did you buy water to water your plants with? And I'll tell you that I have a project in mind for this container. I really wanted the container, and it only cost 85 cents to buy this water. So it is drinking water. I did pay to buy this water, but really, the way I look at it, this is an 85-cent container that I wanted. So, and it was handy, and my watering can is somewhere else, and I don't know where it is, so this just works. Okay, I have this pretty good now. So you can see when I squeeze it, no water drops out, but it does start to hold its shape together. So this, you know what, I'm going to add just a touch more. So much for keeping the dirt off of my work surface. So I'm pre-watering the soil because I don't really want to be watering the roots from above, especially right away as they're starting to get established. I really would rather have the roots go into pre-moistened soil. Okay, so again, it doesn't drip water, but it does hold together. So that is just about right. So now I'm going to put it into my planting container. Now I want to make sure that there's at least a ½ inch between the top of the container and the top of the soil level. That way when I do water it, the water won't run off and get out of the pot. So I'm not going to fill it too full. Now it's time to put the plants in the soil. African violet stems are very rigid. They're very almost succulent, and they will break very easily. So like here's a leaf that's already, I'm probably going to take this one off anyway, so this one wouldn't matter so much if it broke, but these leaves are really lovely and there's nothing wrong with them, so I don't want to lose them. So just take extra care with the leaves when you are moving the plant around in pots and stuff. I'm going to clean this hand off because I don't want to get my leaves dirty, because then I'd have to clean them and then they might break. So let me wash my hand. Okay, now my hand is clean and I won't get dirt on the leaves. So let me just very gently turn it upside down and just really cradle this plant by the root ball. It's got a nice root structure starting. It's not pot bound yet. I don't know if you can see that. African violets kind of do like to be a little bit on the tight side in their pot. So typically if you were going to put one plant in a container and not a collection like this, you would want to pick a pot that is about anywhere from 1/3 to 1/2 the diameter of the leaves on the plant. So if this were an 8-inch diameter, you'd want a 4-inch pot, which is what this was. So, but because I'm putting more than one in a container, I'm not really going to be paying too much attention to the pot size in this particular case. Now, I'm just going to set it down in here and check my soil level. Okay, so this is just about right. It's about 1/2 inch below the soil level, so I can just set it right in here. And I'm not going to tuck any more soil in it. Yeah, I am. I'm going to put some soil around. Actually, what am I going to do? I don't know. I'm learning along with you. What would you do? I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to tuck some soil into the corner and then nestle this right up against it. And that way I don't have to try to get this soil into the corner behind the leaves. That's smart thinking. All right, let me try this. I want to put this broken leaf toward the middle so that when it comes off, I have room in the middle. All right. Okay, so that worked really well. So I just tucked the soil into the corner and then put the root ball right up against that. That is a keeper of an idea. Okay. Dirty hands again. I'm gonna try to do the same strategy in the opposite corner for this reddish pinkish plant. So dirt into the corner of the pot to give myself something to put that root ball up against, so that I'm not trying to put dirt down between the root ball and the pot under the fragile leaves. Okay. So that is working. Now I'll get this out of here. Try not to get the leaves dirty with my dirty hand. Okay. Now which side's gonna go where? Which of these leaves are coming off? Let me put it this way. Don't break anything. Oh, that is a delicate procedure. I don't know why I'm losing my voice. I've been taking an asthma medication that is an inhaler for the last week or two. And I feel like it's given me trouble with my vocal cords, which I'm not a fan of. So, all right, so I'm noticing, let me wash my hands. Okay, so I'm noticing that when I put the soil into the corner to prepare the root ball to go up against it, it ended up pushing both of the root balls more toward the center of the pot than I wanted. I don't know if you can see that, but the center of each of these plants is really more toward the center of the pot, and I really want them in the corners of the pot. So while the strategy worked, I went a little bit overboard with the soil in the corner. So I'm going to take the red one out, take out some of that corner soil, and put it back in. Okay, let me see how this works. Maybe better. Don't break anything. Okay, yeah, that worked better. Now the red one is a little closer to the corner. So I'm gonna do the same thing with the double purple one. The EK Gray something. What was it called? EK Gray Oceans. Yeah, too much in the corner here. So let me get some of this soil out of the corner so it can get a little closer to the corner. Okay, yeah, that's better. Now there's some room between these root balls down in here in the center of this pot. Okay, and now I have this little mini guy to put in here. This is Harmony's Glacier. He's gonna go right here in this, kind of right there like that. And hopefully this guy won't get too big and overtake this guy too much. I'll have to keep an eye out for that. This pot's a little bit smaller, so actually I need more soil down in there. And let me fill in between these guys before I go too far. I might actually need more soil out of the bag, but we'll see about that. I'm worried about these leaves over here. First of all, they're dirty. Second of all, don't break. I definitely need more soil. Okay. All right. Oh, I got dirt all over these leaves now. So much for being careful and keeping them clean. That's the thought that counts, I suppose. Don't break. Don't break. Okay. Now I'm just kind of firmly, but not hard, pushing the soil down in there. You want it to be firm against the root ball so that the roots don't dry out, but you don't want it to be so firm that it turns into a brick. All right, it's coming along, getting close. I might not have done enough soil that time either. Get in there, you. Okay, you know what? I'm going to say that that's enough because I still have moss to put in here too, and I want the moss to not be even with the edges either. All right, this little guy is just going to get dirty because look at this. He's so cute though. He's like a little teeny tiny baby. He's like a little baby. Look how cute that little baby is. Oh! All right, make a little spot in here for you, mister. Why did I call him a mister? Why do I think he's a boy? I don't know. Just strikes me as a boy. I don't know. It doesn't matter. You know what? I tend to assign personalities to all my plants. So even out in the garden, I just have these weird ideas about who they are and what makes them tick. Okay, now this is... my worst fears have come true. I have made a mess in the dirt. Yeah, these guys are little dirty leaves now, but poor guys. I'm so sorry I got you dirty. Clean this off. You know what I really think we should do is we should start a trend about dirt under your fingernails. I think that should be the latest fashion trend in our world, right? Because I'm really rocking the dirt under the fingernails. Okay, so show you what I got. 3 plants in there, lots of dirt on the leaves, so I'm going to try to blow it off or wipe it off with a paper towel. I'm definitely not going to use water to get that off. I have a couple of leaves here that I'm going to take off the plant because they were damaged at the nursery, or they looked a little bit diseased, or otherwise not wonderful. So a couple of these are miscolored. Okay. You could snip these off with a pair of clean snips. I'm just using my fingernails, dirty as they are. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and take a lot off of this red one because a lot of them are kind of yellowing. So that shows that they're really not the healthiest leaves you ever saw. And remember, this red one had really nice crown of new leaves in the center, so it won't really matter if I take out those outer ones. And this one has a crack in it, so I'm going to take that one off too. I really want is perfect, beautiful shaped leaves. There's a dried up one. And there we go. Okay. Good. Good, good, good. Okay. Try to clean the leaves up. Okay. Well, that works on some of it, but not all of it. I just don't want to break any of them that I'm trying to keep. Now I'm going to clear off the edge of the pot, which got a little bit dirty in this process. Oh, darn. It's pretty good. Get some of these dead flowers off of here. Spent blooms. It's still all right. That one's coming on. Oops, broke that bud. Darn. Get this little bad leaf off of there. Some of that dirt off. All right, so this is looking pretty good. Now, I am going to take some of this sheet moss and cover up this soil. That will just make it look a little bit more finished in the house. Now, there's nothing special about this. I just got this at the craft store. You can also get it at the garden center. Probably get it at the dollar store even. I don't know. And you just gently lift these leaves and tuck that right under there. There's different kinds of moss you can get. Some of them are actually in more of a sheet. This one's actually more clumpy. You could also use dried Spanish moss. I've seen people use that before. You could use rocks, pebbles, even sand. I don't know which of those are good or bad for African violets in particular. I don't know if it would make a difference or not to the violet. You can also leave it bare, and that's totally fine too. Need a little bit more. Tuck you in over here. Now, this is, I just don't want to break those leaves, do I? Okay, so here we go. This is looking really pretty already. In a couple of weeks after the roots settle in, I will give it some houseplant fertilizer. Right now I'm just going to let the roots get in there into the new soil and find their new home before I really worry about feeding the plants. And also I'm sure that the garden center was feeding the plants appropriately, so I don't feel like they're going to be starved. So now it's just a matter of putting this into a bright area with indirect sun. You don't want sun shining right on it, but you do want a nice bright area. So the other thing about the light requirements for African violets is that they will draw themselves and lean toward a light source. So you're going to want to turn the container at least once a week, turn it a quarter of a turn so that the plants don't lean toward the window too dramatically. I probably will turn mine once a week unless I see that they're really drawn toward the light, and then I might do it even twice a week, like on Wednesday and Saturday. A quarter turn, and then eventually that will keep the plants all growing up instead of over. I'll water this as it's needed, probably no more than once a week, maybe not even that often. And what I'll do is I'll just pull back some of this moss and I'll stick my finger down in there and see if the soil is still moist. If it is still moist up to like in the top inch or so, then it's not time to water. In fact, African violets prefer to be dry over being too wet. So if in doubt, don't water. If you think it's maybe time to water, but you're not sure, is this too moist, is this too dry, don't water. Give it another few days before you give it any water. What else? Oh, this container, I can't tell if this container's colored glaze on here is porous or not. Sometimes the glaze is really shiny and thick, like a coating, and you know that no air can move through it. This is more of a chalky kind of a finish on this pot. So it might be porous enough. African violets typically do like porous pots. So a clay pot would be great with no glazing on it. So I'm gonna have to keep an eye on this. If you use a non-porous pot, like a glazed pot or a plastic pot, you're gonna need to water less than if you use a porous ceramic container or clay pot, because the air can get into the roots through the pot as well if it's porous. So I'm just gonna keep my eye on this container and see how the plants like living in this particular pot, and I will adjust my watering schedule as needed. The other thing about it, winter watering is less than summer watering. If you like this video and you want to see more like it, click that subscribe button right down there, and also click that notification bell, and then YouTube will tell you when we've got a new video up for you to watch. I hope you'll follow along. Thanks for joining us today.